Ever wondered why more and more people are choosing not to have children? Is it selfishness? Or a fear of responsibility? Or is there something much deeper going on? For centuries, having kids was seen as the default path, almost a biological duty. But today the conversation is changing, and the reasons people are opting out are more complex and fascinating than you might think. Let's peel back the layers and explore the psychology of the child-free choice, moving beyond the stereotypes to understand the real human stories behind this growing trend. This isn't about judging anyone's decision, but about understanding the profound shifts happening in our society and in our own minds. So, what's really driving this decision? One of the biggest psychological factors is a shift in identity. For past generations, identity was often wrapped up in family roles, being a son or daughter, then a husband or wife, and finally a parent. Parenthood wasn't just something you did. It was who you were. But today, our identities are much more multifaceted. People find deep meaning and a sense of self in their careers, their creative passions, their friendships, their personal growth, and their impact on the world. For someone who has spent years building a career they love or cultivating a specific lifestyle, the idea of adding parent to their identity can feel like it might overshadow everything else they've worked so hard to become. It's not that they don't value parenthood. It is that they value their current identity so much that they do and feel the need for another primary role to feel complete. Let's talk about a concept from psychology called self-actualization. This is the drive to realize your full potential, to become the best version of yourself. For some, self-actualization is achieved through raising a family and guiding the next generation. But for others, the path looks very different. It might involve traveling the world, writing a novel, starting a business, or dedicating their life to a cause. They might feel that the immense time, financial, and emotional resources required for parenting would divert them from their unique path to self-fulfillment. It's not about avoiding hardship. It's about choosing which mountains you want to climb. For them, the ultimate personal achievement lies outside the traditional family structure. Then there's the powerful psychological element of control and autonomy. Modern life, especially for younger generations, is filled with uncertainty, economic instability, climate change, political turmoil. These are major stressors. In a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable, the decision of whether or not to have children is one of the few significant life choices we have complete control over. Choosing to be child-free can be an act of taking charge of one's own life path, of creating a future that feels manageable and aligned with one's values and capacity. It's a conscious decision to design a life rather than letting a biological default dictate its course. This isn't about fear, but about a deep, rational desire for stability and personal agency in a turbulent world. Another crucial aspect is what psychologists call anticipated regret. We often hear about people regretting not having children, but there is a flip side that is rarely discussed: the fear of regretting having them. This isn't a taboo thought. It's a genuine concern for many. They see the immense challenges of parenthood, the sleepless nights, the financial strain, the loss of personal freedom, the emotional toll, and they honestly question if they are suited for it. They worry they might not be a good parent, or that they might resent the sacrifices they'd have to make. This isn't a selfish thought. It's an incredibly self-aware and often compassionate one. They believe that bringing a child into the world deserves more than just a "maybe I'll be good at this." It deserves a full-hearted, enthusiastic yes, and if they can't honestly give that, they feel it's more responsible not to proceed. Let's also consider the concept of pronatalism, the societal pressure to have children. We're surrounded by it in movies, advertisements, and even in casual conversations with family. When are you having kids? Is a question many hear on repeat. For some people, this pressure has the opposite effect. It triggers a psychological response called reactance, which is the urge to resist being controlled or told what to do. When society pushes too hard in one direction, some people's instinct is to push back and assert their freedom to choose differently. Their decision to be child-free becomes, in part, a statement about their autonomy and their right to defy social expectations. It's a quiet rebellion against the script they never agreed to follow. Furthermore, empathy plays a huge role, but perhaps not in the way you'd expect. Many who choose to be child-free are deeply empathetic individuals. They look at the state of the world, environmental concerns, social injustices, economic hardship, and feel it would be ethically questionable to bring a new life into that struggle. This isn't pessimism. It's a form of protective empathy. They care so much about the potential suffering of a future child that they choose not to create one. Others might have a history of family trauma or genetic health issues, and their decision is an act of compassion to break a cycle and prevent that pain from being passed down. And what about happiness? We're often told that children are the ultimate source of joy. While kids certainly bring immense happiness to many, studies on happiness and parenthood show a more nuanced picture. Research often points to a parental happiness gap, where parents, especially in countries with less social support, report lower levels of daily happiness and higher levels of stress than their child-free peers. People who choose not to have children are often very intentional about cultivating happiness in other ways through strong friendships, fulfilling hobbies, and a sense of freedom and spontaneity. They don't see their lives as lacking joy. They simply find it in different sources. Their happiness isn't less than, it's just different. Finally, there's the simple yet profound reason of personal preference. Some people just don't have the desire to be a parent. It's as simple as that. We all have different desires and inclinations. Some people love spicy food, others don't. Some people are drawn to the mountains, others to the sea. Similarly, some people feel a deep, innate pull toward parenthood, and others simply don't. There's no complex psychological diagnosis needed. It's not a symptom of a problem. It's a valid personal orientation. In a society that is slowly starting to accept a wider spectrum of identities and lifestyles, acknowledging that a lack of parental desire is perfectly normal is the next logical step. So the choice to be child-free is not a single, simple story. It's a rich tapestry woven from threads of identity, self-actualization, the need for control, anticipated regret, resistance to social pressure, deep empathy, and simple personal preference. It reflects a profound shift in how we define a meaningful and fulfilling life. Understanding this psychology helps us move past judgment and toward a more compassionate and inclusive conversation about all the different ways there are to live a good life. Whether you have children, want them, or have chosen a different path, every journey is valid. Thanks so much for watching and for opening your mind to this conversation. If this gave you a new perspective, consider liking the video and subscribing for more deep dives into the human experience. See you next time.